Welcome to the channel. Now, I have a reaction. I have two videos I'm going to share with you. One with Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the comments that she made, you know, and I'm appalled about the comments that she made. And the NAACP did a press conference with Senator or Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, and I'm appalled as well. So I'm going to play both videos, and I'm going to give my own reaction. So with no further ado, let's go.
We have a whole political apparatus going on in this country, and especially in an election year. And courts are apolitical, not supposed to be issuing rulings that are in the political realm. But we know that because there are legal issues that come up in the political arena, it can so easily be perceived that the court is doing something political. So in my view, we have to be really, really careful in this environment. When we're dealing with issues that have a political overlay, we have to be scrupulous about sticking to the principles and the rules that we apply in every case, and not look as though we're doing something different in this kind of context.
Hold up. Hold up. Y'all heard what she just said. If you didn't hear it and listen to it again. But basically, there's three branches of government. Okay. The executive branch, the legislative branch, and the Supreme Court. It's all tied into one. Okay. What she just said is stupid, dumb, and ignorant. And maybe she think that we're stupid, dumb, and ignorant, because what she's saying is kind of like saying the Holy Spirit has nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with the Father and the Son. Come on, let's go. And check this one out. These brothers right here, man. I mean, I'm going to let you hear the video, and then I'll give my reaction. Let me get my feelings out of it. Let me woosah. Okay. Let's listen to these brothers. Let's go.
In this moment when black representation is under attack, it is important for the CBC to keep in their tradition of being the moral.
The CBC is the Congressional Black Caucus
of the Congress, with the moral of conscience of this country. No representation, no revenue, no one black should be on a playing field of institutions that's living off of our labor.
Wow.
And yet in states that are seeking to reinstitute a sharecropping reality. It is not the responsibility of black America to hold individuals who should know better accountable for doing better. As soon as the United States Congress stand united to ensure our Constitution represent all of us, we will be a better nation as a result. NAACP this morning, in solidarity with the CBC, we are calling on athletes who are coming out of high school not to attend any state-funded schools of states that have moved to minimize our right to vote, to minimize our ability to elect candidates of our choice, and states that are seeking to create a sharecropping reality. Whether that state be Missouri or Mississippi, whether that state is South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, or Florida. 55% of all African Americans live in the former Confederate South. But the 55% of us who live in the former Confederate South, we will not tolerate a Confederate mentality on our labor, on our ability to contribute, and our ability to be to have representation. In this moment, our democracy is in crisis. This is not about partisanship. This is about true representation. And for the NAACP, we will fight with all we have in solidarity with the Congressional Black Caucus to ensure that we have representation, or if we don't, we will withhold the talent that play on the football field or on the basketball court, be them men or female, in this moment.
And it's an honor to stand with members of the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as former athletes committed to this cause in getting this egregious situation turned around. This is an unprecedented moment featuring an unprecedented attack on black political representation, and therefore it requires an unprecedented response.
That's right.
We are here standing in solidarity with the NAACP.
Man, did y'all hear that crap? I mean, literally, just think about it. Okay. One thing that he mentioned, sharecropping. Okay. Now, if you guys would have did this, 15, 20 years ago, I understand. But right now, they have a thing called NIL. Okay. So these brothers and these young men that are playing on high level sports are basically benefiting off of their name, their image, and their likeness. So that's not sharecropping, that's profit sharing. And the SEC has a contract with CBS. Now, if you are from any of the states that he mentioned and you are a five-star athlete, your dream and your goal is to play on NBC, CBS, Saturday morning. It's the first game, 9:30, the SEC. Okay. And if you think about it, the SEC is as one of the Power 5 conferences, but since some of the conferences have dismantled, and strengthened the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, and all of that, the SEC is still head above shoulders when it comes to this game. Now, just imagine, how much these individuals are getting paid. Think about it. Just imagine how much these individuals are getting paid. Some of these black people that they're talking about in the SEC is getting between $1.5 million and $5 million annually just to play in this conference. So for them to sit back and to try to, make this an issue, with the younger generation is appalling to me. And I'm flabbergasted the fact that they're requesting that these guys boycott the SEC when it was a time where they didn't even recruit. Our ancestors fought and died to be included. Okay. And when USC, tapped on Alabama and Bear Bryant is on record talking about, I need some of those niggers. Okay. That's what changed the game. So now these conferences, that he's talking about, or these teams that he's talking about, has nothing to do with the Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court decision, from a black man's perspective, and this says make African American black again, is an opportunity for us to focus on what we need to focus on. Now, if you guys was having a conversation in terms of telling them to go to Jackson State, why did Deion Sanders leave Jackson State? Think about it. Because Colorado have the facilities and the amenities, and the money, to make these five-star athletes comfortable. Why aren't we trying to lobby and trying to have schools in the, historical black college schools, rival, these SEC schools? Because like I said, I lettered at Central State. I lived in a dorm called Broadus Hall. Okay. And we played our first game on the road, in Columbus, and it was the Capital City Classic. And when we went to Ohio State and played in the Capital City Classic in the Horseshoe after leaving Broadus Hall, we sat back and we was in awe of the facilities, the amenities, the weight room, the stadium, like, wow. So I'm saying is that energy that y'all got, that has nothing to do with, what you're talking about right now. Now, the NAACP is standing in solidarity with the Congressional Black Caucus. It shows you that the NAACP is a political branch of the Democratic Party. That's all it is. Okay, a political branch of the Democratic Party, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the Supreme Court's decision and the Supreme Court's ruling was correct, because racial gerrymandering should not be legal. There should not be lines drawn from Shreveport, Louisiana, all the way through Baton Rouge, all the way down to New Orleans, just to have black people in seats. Okay. If you can't resonate with all Americans, it's time for racism to end. And this is coming out of the mouth of a black man. Because, like I said, I grew up in the era when Dr. King, they were promoting it and all of that. So the contents of our character, our level of expertise, we're supposed to be better than everybody. Okay. But since we got all this talent, why are we not running to the HBCUs to, play football? Because somehow the investments, the amenities, the TV deals has not, trickled down to that level of school. But instead of you trying to fight and take something away from somebody. Instead of you trying to fight to be accepted by somebody, why don't you fight to bring the competition and to balance the scale so an individual will sit back and say, man, I just visited Jackson State. I just visited Central State. I just visited, Grambling and Southern. Man, I like the program. I like the amenities. The dorms are off the chain, the weight room off the chain. Let them make a decision that way, because what you're talking about right now is personal and it's political and it's not fair to the youngsters. So you guys ought to be ashamed of yourself. So like I said, all things come to an end. And racism has to come to an end, because I'm so sick and tired of so-called educated uppity Negroes acting as if we cannot make it on our own unless the white man gives us some type of handout. So like I said, I could go on and on. Hit the like, hit the notification, put a comment in the comment section, because this is not going anywhere. We're going to have this conversation because, there's no way I would ruin the dream of a 5-star athlete that's born and raised in one of these southern states. Because like I said, if you want to send them to California, to SC or something, man, this city gonna eat them up and spit them out. Not even chew them up, just eat them up and spit them out. Because like I said, it's no different out here than it is out there when it comes to, racism, because there's a difference between outward or overt or chateau. It's the same thing. So like I said, that's like I said, this, Ketanji Jackson Brown talking about, we don't make, political decisions when the Congress, when the Supreme Court is a part of, the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the Supreme Court. It's like saying that, the Father and the Son, but don't worry about the Holy Spirit. No. It's all intertwined in one. Okay. And then the brother's talking about boycotting the SEC, but have no alternatives. So all I'm saying is turn that energy and let's just bring the level of competition and the amenities and accommodation to the black colleges, and then we wouldn't have a problem. So like I said, stop begging for the white man to accept you. But it's sad that the NAACP, National Association for Colored People, has nothing to do with black people. Just like the Congressional Black Caucus has nothing to do with black people. It is a political ploy to basically fight and to continue the fight the Republican Party, who basically, to the Republican for which it stands, who's trying to build this nation. And just like that number 8, build or destroy, the Democratic Party's whole mission is to destroy. So the choice is yours. Put a comment, hit that like, hit that notification. Let's have this conversation. This is your man, Bushawn Glover, signing out with a better black America. Peace out.